We're doing today the last shiur on this inyan on V'nochet Tavshin Yudalid, and we said yesterday that we're going to focus now on the HaDrush. So it's inyan b'fnei atzmi. So if you didn't hold cup with what we learned till now, it's nicht gefährlich because it could be done as an inyan for itself. Now we're already doing this thing of the drush of V'nocha, so it's a gelegenheit to really touch on another inyan, which the emes doesn't have so much to do with the sugya that we're learning, but the first Pesach Mamer of the Rabbi V'nocha Tavshin Yudalef, the Rabbi spoke about a different knech on this word, and I want to get into that also. So it's a bazindere Zach, just like Pesach. It's connected to our Mamer. And it's a geschmack inyan, it's a gringer inyan. So let's first go through the Nakuda over here. What's the drush in our Mamer? The way it's in our Mamer, it starts off that we describe Yemesa Mashiach, or better said, we're describing Melech HaMashiach, or Mezok, as Melech HaMashiach is going to be a person that V'nocha lo v'ruach havaye, Ruach Chochmo Bina, Ruach Etze Gvura, Ruach Das V'yiras Havaya V'shofet B'tzadik Dal. So this is the reason why Achron Shal Pesach is called the Day of Mashiach, because the Haftarah, this is the Pasuk of Haftarah, is talking about Mashiach. B'chlal, it's interesting. B'derech Klal, when we talk about Mashiach, so we describe Yemesa Mashiach. So most of the Nevuas in Nach are describing all the Meridik Gezachim, because even Keves, the Dale Meridik Gezachim, which is also in this Haftarah. But there's very few descriptions of what is Mashiach. There is Grad in Tehillim, I think it's a Kapitel Memhei, it's a Machlekes if it's talking about Shleim HaMelech, or if it's talking about Melech HaMashiach. But that could also be used as a description to get to know Poshet V'yazei Zetos Mashiach al pi haksuvim. Now, in this description, Yemesa Mashiach is shtei tazeh. He's going to have Chochmo Bina, Eitzer Gvura, Das and Yiras Havaya, and then V'shofet B'tzadik Dal. So what's the taich V'shofet B'tzadik Dal? And let's get to the end. Is that Mashiach is going to be a person who, one of the inyanim that he's going to do is, he's going to pasha make a mishpat, which bepashtus. This is like, as meret gar in pashtus. What's a type of Mashiach? There's going to come a time of truth, which is Elam Haba, where Mashiach is going to judge and he's going to know the truth, and it's going to be a Elam HaEmes, where there's no place for sheker. And what's in this world is Lamaila, is over there going to be Lamata and Fakir, and it's going to be the time of Schar V'Einish. This is attached to the Elam of Emes. Now, who's going to be deciding what's the truth? Mashiach. So it's going to be a great day of judgment. Yeah, like it says, Mashiach's going to shech the Yitzhahara, and all the tzaddikim are going to feel good. And the Rishon are going to feel bad. They're going to look back and they're going to see how small the Yitzhar is, how much they could have conquered. No, there's going to be a world of truth. So, fragt sich the Shaila, what's all these inyanim, which we had before, it's Chochmo Bina, it's Gvura, Ruach Das, V'yiras Havaya, V'shofet B'tzadik Dalim. What's the connection between all of them? It says L'chura, the inyan of V'shofet of Ruach Chochmo Bina V'chulu is describing Shleimus in Mashiach. He's going to be a perfect person in Seichel, and Eitzo Gvura is B'pashtus referring to Midas. He's going to be a Adam HaShalom and Eser Keiches Nafsh. Okay. The judgment of Mashiach, Albert, is nothing to do with that. So state, how's Mashiach going to know who is good or not? So the Eitz is going to be, the way Mashiach is going to do this is with, he's going to be Meirech V'doin, with the power of smell. The power of smell is a taich as semelachatchila, nothing to do with the metzias of other people. So, in other words, I'm told with the Metzias of Seichel, what Seichel could understand in the Metzias that's standing before him, what the people are. So, fragt sich the Shaila, what's the connection between all of these inyanim of Shleimus and the inyan of smell? Yeah. Beprotius, all of the inyanim which are in the pasuk are really describing Hafchi. Chacham and Bina are opposites. Das v'Yiras Savaya are also opposites. The Pashtus, Frierdiker Rebbe says in the Siche, as Mezet Ladavenenu, as the inyan von Seichel bringt nicht mehr Yiras Shamayim. Verkehrt. So, and it sounds like he's connecting them. There's Ruach, Chachmo Bina, Ruach, Eitzah Gvura, Ruach, Das v'Yiras Savaya. So there's Keilu, there's a point over here in the pasuk side generally that the Shleimus and Kechsei Gluim is going to bring me to a proper Melech V'Doin, and then Beprotius in each Tchune Gufe, there's a Chibur of Havchi. So that's the Kasha of the Mamer. So what we're going to do now, we're going to pause and the Chabissel stellen auf the Inyan from Melech V'Doin. Like I said, it's not so again pshat in the Mamer, it's just a very geschmack Inyan. So you say this the Gevart. We'll go through this over here, and then we'll come back to see what the Mamer V'Nochi Yudalit adds depth to this whole Vart. So first, Pashat, a bissel herumreden. I mean, it's kedai. So you say this the Inyan. In Yoni Gula Mashiach, Pashat, what the Rebbe spoke about the way Melech V'Doin works, meyusad on the Sikh of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Bechlal behektim. What's the taich reach? Smell. We know that we have 5 chushim. Each one of the chushim is the taich that I am accessing another angle or another aspect, another layer of Gashmis. A person who could see but can't hear is missing all of the sound of the volume of the world. A person who's deaf or who's blind, so he can't appreciate all the color. There's another whole reiche dimension of the world that he's missing out. Reyach is touching and smell. So these are the different chushim. Obviously state that Reyach, it has a deeper shaykhs to etzem than the other keches, than the other chushim. Was heißt? Bechlal the chushim are very interesting things. On the one hand, the Gashmis, they connect me to Gashmis. Le'idach, the chushim have a keach of bringing the etzem. The tainug is dafki in the chushim more than in the keches. A person has more pleasure in the sound of music, or in the taste, or in the mishush of comfort, or in any inyanim. Over there, there's more tainug. In other words, it's a tzit the mensch, or in the re'iyah ziche, than the keches. Now, Beprotius, it says that the Reyach is even more than all the others. This is, if I'm going to line up all the 5 chushim, Reyach is higher than all of them. Why? Because the etzem is nimtza dafke in Reyach more than Riyah Shmir. And that's why if a person is fainted, then you have to put smelling salts, and that's going to awaken him. So how could you be Meshiches HaNefesh through the Chush HaReyach? It says, also, I mean, there's a Pashta Metzias, that you see that a person who's weak, even if he's not Beis Alphus, how could you be Mechayehim? Is through Reach. Because the Etzem HaNefesh is Nimtza with Reach. The Far state that there's a Machlekes, if you by Egla Arufa, you know, in Seite, that you look where the person who was killed, where he is, and closer to which city. So you have to measure. Where do you measure from? So there's a machlekes, from his head, from his tabur. So there's a shitta that you measure from his nose, from the chaitim. What's the vart of the chaitim? Because in the chaitim is dort and dort the etzem, the chush hareach. It's a dort of man sich abstellen. L'chur, it's not true. L'chure, me sagt allemal, as Chush Hare'iyah nimmt etzem more than other keches. Amol sagt man, dafke Shmiya. Like it says that Yisro will be his alpha, so the Eibishter sent Neshama of the Baal Shem Tov to whisper the name of Klal Yisrael into their name, because when you whisper someone's name into him, when he's Beis Alpha, so it wakes him up. So Shmiya is a keich. Amol sagt man Re'iyah. Dvu is the Tainug is dafke in Re'iyah, like in Tovshin Tes is Barucha, that Re'iyah is bein arech to all the other Chushim, because B'shava by everybody, like we discussed it once Barucha Thursday night, Re'iyah is bad in them the So what's the Hagdara? The Hagdara is Pashut. It says, do keiches hagluyim, or keiches pnimim, and so do makif. In keiches pnimim, Re'iyah and Shmiya is Chachma Bina. Each one with their own Maila, which we're not going to get involved in now to be Mechala between them. Aber Bechlolos at Re'iyah or Shmiya is Chachma Bina, is the keiches. If it's the way I could take the etzem in Re'iyah or take the etzem in Shmiya, in a tzir. The Reach is makif. Reach at andere keich. It doesn't take a specific part of the nefesh. The ganze Mensch wird dort herangenommen. And therefore, if it depends what we're looking for. If we're looking to take take the etzem adam, that's dafke in Reach, which is the keich makif of the nefesh. You know, it's a very interesting thing. You see b'metzias that the chushim, they nemen the mensch. Like you could see, you could remind a person of svara, or you could remind a person of psahergish. So it's after years, it becomes very rusty. Mashenkin, you show it to him, or shmiya, you sing a nigun, which you sang a long time ago, it transports you very fast. Or re'iyah zicher. Like it says, there's a shaykhis in re'iyah and zikaron. But Reach is be'en arich. If you hear something you didn't hear in a long time, so enachanami, it brings it back, but it doesn't have the same takeoff. A smell has something very powerful. You walk into a place, sometimes it's after Ben Azmanim, every building has their own smell. You come back to a masjid, you haven't been there, you come, in a second you walk in, it's like everything hits you again. Or you sometimes you smell, you go home, you smell certain foods, it's kilo, you're back a child. And more powerful than anything else. What's so powerful about Reach? Because wie es steht, Reach is the makif von Nefesh. Se nimmt the ganze Mensch. It's the rotzen. It's the general tzia of the nefesh in a certain direction. So if Re'iyah or Shmiya are taking things in a specific tziyur, Reach nimmt the ganze Zach. And that's what's so powerful about Chush HaReach. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, as this is the taich, that Mashiach is going to judge Klal Yisrael through smell. What's a shaykh's smell to judgment? Wie kommt es rein? It's a nest. He's going to smell the hand of the yid, and then he's going to pass it. What's it to? So the Vimelent is bepashtus on chsidis. He's going to be able to smell you, and he's going to know, even though you look like a tzaddik, he's going to be able to know the truth. So the Meirech V'doin is, it's a mishpat emes, and it's not going to be like b'derech klal in l'dayin l'shein of reis. Memele is v'atzilo eido, as they always don't like have schus. Masha'inkein Mashiach is not going to be any discounts, because he's going to see the truth and he's going to pass in he sees. That's the type of Meirech V'doin. In Lekutei Diburim, it's a Sikha, it's Simchas Torah Tofresh Tzadik. If you only have a Sikha Tofresh Tzadik at home, you don't have a Lekutei Diburim, you could use that also. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, Punkt verkehrt. And I'm just warning that I'm adding a little bit in Pshat over here, because the Sikha is nicht in ganzen ausgerät, but it sounds like the Havana is over there. When you judge al pi seichel, then you judge a specific thing. So a person comes before you and it getan avedus. So and you know the mitzias. Is that when paskin in lechumre? Is yikiv adina sahar, and he has to be mekabel the enish. But then there's a breiter ezach. Let's look at the whole picture. Let's look at the general history of this Yid. What brought him to a chet? Was tut Yid avere? Because he had an Isoim. Because Yitzrei Yonse. Because of his chinuch. Because of his matzav in Gashmis. Because of 1,000 years of Golos beforehand, where there was Yeridus Aderes and there's Komene Sibes Min Atzad, which have pushed him and forced him in this direction. Then La'achre will look at this whole big picture. Von Azefel hunderte Jahren Golos und wie man hat getrieben und geschmissen und jeden haben gelitten. And then you look at this Yidele who was it gerettet mit dem Kaddish. It's a more correct judgment. Wirst du herauskommen und sagen, in the big picture, the Yid is a tzaddik. Memele, the Mashiach is going to be done like Havzchus. In other words, this is a great yesod. Is Mashiach going to be saying less truth or more truth? He's going to be saying, the miskana of Mashiach is going to be, din is neite klape chesed, lahok. But is he saying a less meduyik thing or more meduyik? Is a mekukd bechitzenius? So it sounds like he's saying, we're not going to look at the details, mit ibishmir. But if I understand that it's fakert, it's with the keach of chushareach. Chushareach is the taich that I get the full picture. It's like, it's the klal. It's the klal of my nefesh, memele, it's scaled the whole matzav. That's a touch, the smell. Like when somebody tells you, I see it's right, but it smells wrong. Epis schmeckt mir nicht. Was ist das schmecken? It's the matzav akloli. There's something wrong or there's something right over here. I like the smell of it. So a smell is a touch. Ich nehme the ganze Bild. I take everything into account. Then Mashiach is going to say, fakert, Yid not tzadikim. When you look at a Yid in Tofshin Pei, Klal Yisrael, Midaven, Yid not trying, everybody in his place is looking to Abnei Pesach Shayches. So you want to be judgmental? You want to speak shlile? You're missing what there is. You're missing the real picture. You're not looking at things properly, proportionately, in a richtige perspective. So the Eimek Adin is going to end up being lekavschus. Not the taich merech v'don. It's makif. It's cooking off the ganze bit. In Aveda, so the taich of this word is that if that's what we want Mashiach to do, so the Aveda nowadays has to be mein zeh. That's the Aveda of don lekavschus. This is one of the dugmas we're learning about nefesh sichlis. Yeah, so nefesh in the Sugya Dortmund, he said that there's a difference between chachmas chitzenius or the hanochas ha'elam, and says the chachma from chassidus, the chachma from alakus. What's the difference? One of the chilukim is as chachmas hanochas ha'elam are always going to be yeshistic. Masha'enke and chachma of kedusha is always gonna have bittul. So, does direkt zechois in even the most pashut zachen. Yeah. So it says l'moshel that al todin es chavercha ad shetagia l'mkeimi. So, or the havedon is kol adam lekav zchus. So, if you ask a person of gas, I'll tell you what's up sachidish from Teire. I need to have a mishnah to tell me that. Jeder mensch will tell you. Ask every American. He'll tell you. Don't be judgmental. Not to be judgmental is like a universal value. Jeder Mensch, der hält sich ein bisschen für ein Edele, ein bisschen für ein Mensch. You don't judge others. Aber that's a taich, reine yeshes. What's a taich not to judge others? You don't want to be judgmental. Ich will sein a schöner Mensch. You're not thinking about him. Teire says, Punkt verkehrt. Hevei done. Hevei done es kol adam. Be judgmental. Don't not be judgmental. Just trug sich up. I'm going to be a nice person. Hevei done. Sachir from Teire to be judgmental. Elamai, the way to be judgmental is to judge properly. So you'll come to maskana l'kavschus. V'signin acher. What's a touch when a secular person says? He says, I don't want to have I don't want to be judgmental. What's he saying in other words? In other words, he's saying is that if I would be judgmental, this person I should call him a rasha, I should call him a chayte, I should call him I don't want to judge him. I don't want to, ich will sich nicht reinlassen in the sugya. But really, if you want to know what's the truth, I mean, we know what the truth is. So that's a taich, that's a schwanz. That's not a taich that you're feeling him. Bist stam. Du tragst sich up von the din. Teire says fakert, feel yanim. We were discussing that the midas tevis of the nefesh abamis or of the nefesh sichlis of a goy is always legarmayim. It's always going to be, I want to be fine. I don't want to judge. Teire says, be judgmental. And his madrich, how you properly judgmental, judge the whole matziv. Says da bewusste Wort in Welt. Me sagt, have done is kol ha'adam is lekaf zchus. If you damn the whole person, meaning you look at his history, you look at his svive, you look at everything he's going through, kol ha'adam, then it's given me lekaf zchus. So was sagt Teire? Nicht not to judge, to judge. And that's the Hachana for Yemesa Mashiach, when Mashiach is going to look at the whole makif, the klolis gezach, and then he'll judge the kafschus. Ad kan is wie das ist in Likutei Diburim. Es ist ein reicher Wort, es ist ein sehr geschmackiger Wort, es ist eine Gehen Avede, und it's also, it's adds a emek to our discussion on the Nefesh HaSichlis and the Midas Tevis. But there's this word from Likutei Diburim, the Rebbe Chazert Pesach Tafshin Yudalef. The first Mamer. Mamish, we're talking, was it the third, fourth Mamer of the Rebbe? Yeah, there was Basi Legani, there's the famous V'Kibala Yehudim, so Etlecha Mamorim, Tafshin Yudalef. And in this Mamer, so the Rebbe brought this Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe. If you look at the Diburim, it's very interesting. He said, Agdome. I says, in the Mamer, I said, Zelcha was meinen that a Sikha is only in Yoni Drush. Of Medavissen that every word of a Rebbe is meyused in Kabbalah and is meyused in Pnimis Ateri and Emes. So we have to understand this in the way it's at the Emes. And then the Rebbe has this word. So the Rebbe touched that what's the word of Mashiach being done by Reach, as he nimmt etzem ha-nefesh, is the far nimmt the etzem ha-nefesh von Ayid. So it's very interesting. It looks like it's Ba'avlo, like the Rebbe is chazering the word of the Frierdiker Rebbe. But Ba'avlo over there, the Rebbe was Be'emes changed pshat. That's what it looks like. Mamer is saying a new word that the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't say. Frierdiker Rebbe said, as mit the Reach, mit the Merech V'dom, Mashiach is going to look at the whole of Klal Yisrael. So it sounds like a nice Musar word. The Rebbe says, Reach is etzem. Sie kommt von etzem. Der Fall nimmt das etzem. What's Merech V'dom is going to look at the etzem of a Yid. And the etzem of a Yid is pure. So it's not he's going to make a sikum and not and judge Yidden favorably because of everything they went through. He's going to look at the etzem of a Yid. Brought then the Ingen of Rabbi Yechem and Zaka and Idei Beis Derech Melichinesi because the Kechse Gluim B'chlal don't show on the etzem. So Rabbi Yechem and Zaka was saying fakert that good Kechse Gluim don't show on the etzem of Ra maybe. The Rebbe said Ebazeis kommt zegt fakert that if bad Kechse Gluim or bad behavior in Zman HaGolus doesn't show on what's really happening in the mitzad the etzem hanefesh of a yid. Al kol panim, the inyan from the reach from merech v'doin is makif, and makif nemt etzem. Okay. Adkan was this inyan, this derech agav dike word, which comes in over here. It's a yesod in V'yazeh Mashiach. It's yachas the Klal Yisrael is, and it's a taitzach up in Aveda in our yachas the ben Adam l'chaveri. Aber vinitvi, side the way it's the Vimelens bepashtus is makif, and side the way that the Rebbe teached it, that zenemt etzem, verstärkt es nur unsere Kasche over here in Tovshin Yudalet, where you have two inyonim. There's Kechzai Gluyim and there's Etzem. Or there's Makif. Reach, Merech V'doin has nothing to do, L'chure, with Kechzai Gluyim, Tzir. That's the Kasha. That's the Kasha of our mind. So the beer of the Mamer over here is Azay. Behektim as an alakus bichlal is the lemaila din ketz or lemata din tachlis. And we went in our Mamer, we're not going to go through it again, but we went ba'arucha the past 4 days. We went through Bazeh Gufe how the two tnuas of Elyon and Tachten, Atzilus and Biyah, Eir and Keach, are on every level. And the way we touched it yesterday is the pshitis of the Eibishter and the fact that the Eibishter has tzir. And both of these inyanim are vision sof on every level. What's pshat that there are these two inyanim? The aliba demis is it's mushrish in yechelis. And in yechelis is yecholti lahoir and yecholti shalei lahoir. But when it's in yechelis, obviously when I say the Eibishter is yochil, it's not a touches the Eibishter has a specific capacity to do a certain thing. Now the Eibishter is be'etzem yochil. What's a touch yochil? It's a tnu of, if there isn't it, kolul, yecholte lahar and yecholte shalei lahar. So the two tnuas of lamaila din ketz and lamata din tachlis are by the Eibishter one. So the makar of seviv and the makar of memale, the makar of lamaila din ketz, of bligvul, and the makar of gvul, of lamata din tachlis, the makar of biyah, it's all one. It waits in the Eibishter, it's Yechelis. Yechelis is als ein Sach. Lefi zeh is verstandig, the teretz on the Kasha. Mashiach is going to come, is going to nizgala the Eibishter k'meishahu. The Eibishter, the way he is going to be nizgala on keine tzimtzumim. You have a nigla kvei davai. The way the Eibishter is, there's no period, there's no separation between Elyon and Tachten, Bligvul and Gvul, Yecholte Lahoir and Yecholte Shalei Lahoir. So therefore, that there's no difference between Ve'eriche b'yiris Avaye, Ve'eriche in inyan of Makif, and the inyan of Ruach Chachma Bina, Ruach Etzor Gvura. This is Kechzai Gluyim. This is Kavyochel Gvul of the Eibishter. And this is the Bli Gvul of the Eibishter. Yemesa Mashiach is going to be one. So Mashiach is going to be a person, Kavyochel, where the inyan of Makif and the inyan of Pnimi are not two inyanim. We're breaking the borders between them. Because it's going to be Nizgala HaMitzad Etzem, it's one. Umemele Echet Beprati is in Kechzai Gluyim. There's Kava Yemin and Kava Smel. There's Chachma and there's Bina. Sagt man das Echet? Because there's not going to be any Gdorin, it's going to be the way it's Mitzad Etzem. Yecholte Lahoir, Yecholte Shalei Lahoir is one. So in Yecholte Shalei Lahoir, the market of Gvul, there's also going to be the two, in both in Yonim, the same. Depending how you type Shalei Lahoir, maybe the type Yecholte Lahoir is Gvul, whatever, en kamakin. Lefi zeh is verstandig. The Rebbe says a geschmack pshat in Medrash. It says in the pasuk this is Achron Shal Pesach Tovshin Yud Dalet. So Bechlal Yud Alef Nissen, the Rebbe didn't verbreng. The Alef Nissen, there was a Mamer Tovshin Yud Beis in the room. Yedua that the Rebbe cried by the Mamer, Mamish Gefeche. There was very few people there. And the Rebbe Shmuel spoke to the Rebbe afterwards, and the Rebbe answered very, said about the crying by the Mamer. It was not, and then there was Tovshin Chav Beis, the Rebbe verbreng, Shnas HaShishim, so Shnas HaChamishim, Shnas HaShishim, there was a verbrenging. And then, from Shnas HaShivim, it started becoming Kavua that the Stake Verbrengen Yud Alef Nissen, which was a special schus. But in the Yud, there was no Verbrengen. But in the Mamer Achron Shal Pesach, more than once, very often, in not just the Achron Shal Pesach, in the Mamorim from Natku, in the Verbrengens, the Rebbe would smuggle in Yonim which are connected to the Kapitel. So this is a Kapitel. Talking Kapitel Nun Gimel, which Tovshin Yud Dalet is the Shnasa Tovshin was Shnas Nun Beis. Says the Rebbe was 52. So is da Medrash afim pasuk. In the pasuk it says Miyitin Mitzin, that the Eibishter is saying. So it touches in Medrash that the Eibishter Bechlal and me, the words mi yitin, you have the Eibishter said it, Moshe Rabbeinu said it. The Eibishter said his wish, mi yitin, that v'hoya levavam zeh that Klal Yisrael should connect to the Eibishter. Moshe Rabbeinu's wish is mi yitin v'kol ala am Hashem neviim, yedi yid zal zayin novi. So it says, B'shas Moshe Rabbeinu on the Eibishter, why he calls him Medrash, the Rav and the Talmud, each one said it. It was like a wish. It wasn't Niskayim. When Mashiach comes, both are Niskayim. Sai Kol Am Hashem is Nevim, like it says, Ve'eshpiches Ruchi al Kol Basar, that everybody's going to be a Navi. And also it says that this thing, that V'hoya Levavam Zeh, so it says, that every Yid is going to have a Shaykh to the Eibush, is going to have a Yid. So the Rebbe types Lefi Zeh a Reiche Pshat in Medrash. What's this discussion that there's what the Rav wanted, what the Talmud wanted, there's the back and forth. There can't be Niskayim. Mashiach comes, it could be. The Yisod of Mashiach is as Elyon and Tachten are not two things. What's the wish of the Rav? That the Tachten shall have a Shaykh to the Elyon. That Miyitin v'hoya levavim zeh that Yidin, the Lev should connect to the Eibishter. What's Moshe Rabbeinu's wish? Moshe is Kilo, the representative of the Tachten, the Talmud. His wish is that the Elyon should be Mizgalas in the Tachten. So the Elyon, the Eibishter says, Halavai, the Tachten should come to me. Moshe says, a Yid says, Halavai, we should have Gili, we should have Nevuah. Alle Yidin sollen werden Mizgala werden. Zogt the Medrash, as when Mashiach comes, both one is kind. You could have Sai, the Elyon came to the Tachten, Sai, the Tachten came to the Elyon. Why? Because once when Megala, the Etzem, as in Yechelis, Yichol Telon, Yichol Shalel are not two things, Memele can sein beide zusammen. Is Lesikum, the Nekuda of the Mamer is that after understanding how you have Maila Dinket, Maila, and Mata, in a Lekos, in Mesa Mashiach is Mitzad Etzem, there aren't any two Gdarim, and it's really all one. And that's going to be the Taich, how in Mashiach, Alein Makiv and Pnim is connected, and all the Keiches are connected, and also why in Klal Yisrael and the Yachs of the Eibishter, side will have a Lev to the Eibishter, and side the Eibishter will be in his Galatad.